Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. This is your weekly reading where we talk all about the energy that you're probably already feeling, the collective energy that impacts each and every one of us, and how you can make the most of it this week. So, I'm going to help you to understand what it is that you're feeling, what you can expect this week, what's going to be coming up for you this week, and again, how you can use this energy so that you can make the most of it. We are going to be talking about what I'm feeling in the energy, some of the channeled messages that I connected with in regard to the energy, and then we will finish the whole thing up with the tarot cards to build upon the messages that we already talked about. And I'm already noticing as I picked up my tarot deck that we have the Empress here in the bottom. That is my favorite tarot card. And so I feel like this is showing up to let us know there's a lot of magnetism that's happening here in this energy if you allow it. But it is going to be a little tricky this week in terms of finding just the right touch. So let me explain. I had the image when I was connecting with what do I need to talk about today. I got a flashback to the time that I decided to buy a car that was a standard car, standard transmission, and I didn't know how to drive a standard car. And so I had to learn really quickly, and my dad took me out and we drove, and it took me quite a while to get the hang of it. So if you've ever driven a standard car, maybe you picked it up faster than I did, but it took me a while. And there's a very specific, you have to have just the right touch with the pedals to make sure that the car doesn't stall out in order to make sure that you can continue to go forward. And then you also have to listen when you're driving a standard car for it to have a specific sound. You can hear the sound of when you need to shift. And it took me a little while, but the reason that I'm sharing this story is that that's kind of what this energy feels like to me this week, is like us through a little bit of trial and error, kind of fumbling around a little bit, learning how to navigate this energy, how to navigate certain situations that come up for us. And it might require us to find just the right touch, to really be in tune with and paying attention to what's happening around us so that we know what to do and when. And so it's going to serve you really, really well this week to be tuning in with your intuition, to let that guide you, to let that show you. And luckily, we are getting closer and closer to Halloween. And Halloween is very much a time when the veil is thinner, right? When we are more connected to the other side, to energies that are beyond the veil. And so we're getting closer and closer to that. Are you guys noticing that you're feeling more intuitively connected? Now, I do think that this has to do with us getting closer to Halloween, but I also think this has to do with us as a collective. We've really been having a lot of upgrades in regard to our intuitive gifts and the ways that we're connecting and things like that. So I want you to pay attention to that because we want to embrace these gifts. We want to lean into these gifts and honor them. So let me know in the comments, like if you guys are noticing, have you been feeling more intuitive, or what have you been connecting more in dream state as well? I have been having some wild dreams, very crystal clear dreams. I think there's a lot that we're working through unconsciously, a lot that we are connecting with intuitively through our dreams. I think there's a lot, especially as we get closer and closer to Halloween, we're connecting with crossed loved ones in our dreams, that kind of stuff. So pay attention to all of it because it's going to give you a tool for navigating this energy and not stalling out in terms of allowing us to kind of keep going. So this energy, it's almost like we have yesterday, I believe it was yesterday that we had Pluto come out of retrograde. And so now we're in this space where I was saying last week how when it went into retrograde, I think a lot of the things that we had been working on in terms of our own transformation, in terms of becoming a better version of ourselves and letting parts of ourselves close out, letting parts of ourselves that don't really align for us go, and really embracing our authenticity. And I think like there was a lot of work being done in terms of our own transformation, in terms of becoming better versions of ourselves. And I feel like when Pluto went retrograde, we felt a little bit stalled in that. And so maybe you haven't been feeling like you're growing at the rate that you were before, or maybe it's just kind of felt a little bit slower, a little bit more stalled. And so now I think we're getting back into that, but it might be a little herky jerky kind of energy for a little while, where it like starts and then it stops and it starts and it stops, just like how I used to drive my standard car when I was learning how to drive it. And if I'm honest, how I always drove it, because I never fully got the hang of it and had to get a new transmission. But that's a whole other story. So I want you to think about that, especially if you've ever driven a standard car. Like that's kind of how the energy is going to feel. But when we get the hang of it, I think that we're going to find that just the right touch to be able to move forward with the things that we're working on, the things that we're trying to move forward with, and we're going to get the hang of it. And it's going to help to support us in things moving forward for us, in things developing for us, and feeling like we're finally getting somewhere. So maybe you're already starting to feel this a little bit, but don't be shy about fumbling your way through things this week. Don't be shy about having to learn through like trial and error this week, right? Maybe you do something, you're like, oh, like maybe that wasn't the best approach, or maybe that wasn't how I wanted to do it. But it's almost like this week we have to have some of these experiences to learn how to do it, to learn how to navigate it, to understand the situation better, whatever the case may be with that. So we're going to have, we might have some moments this week where we feel a little embarrassed or silly or whatever, but like, you're never going to die from embarrassment, right? And it's okay. Maybe it's okay for us to be a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more like putting ourselves out there and fallible and all of that stuff. And it's okay. Like, I feel like this is a week where you just put yourself out there and you try and you see like, if I try this, how does this work? And if I try this, oh, that's going to stall it out, stall the energy out, like, so playing around with that a little bit and seeing where that gets you. There is this energy of that back and forth also, where I think part of us is wanting to be very outwardly focused and taking action and moving forward. But then there's also this part of us that's like, no, balance. We need to balance, right? So we pull back and we're also focusing on taking care of ourselves, spending time in our own energy, that kind of stuff, rather than that really outward yang, extroverted kind of energy. So I think like we're moving in and out of both. And I want you to give yourself permission to do that. Like follow the flow where it leads you, and see if you can get the hang of this energy. I think right about when we're learning it, it's going to transition into something else. But I do also feel like there are things that we will learn how to do, or things that we will have allowed to move forward, or that we will have taken action on, or that we will understand, that will support us as we move forward into the energies that are coming in next with that. Because keep in mind, so next week when I'm here Tuesday will be the new moon. And I feel like that is such a powerful reset. It can be a reset or a renegotiation of relationships. It can be a reset for your beauty, right? So you might be thinking about making some kind of change to your outward appearance in some way, or taking steps that would contribute in a way to your outward appearance. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But I also feel like this week kind of feels like there's some kind of a buildup to this reset, and to helping us to understand what we need to negotiate or renegotiate in regard to relationships in our world. Definitely a lot of negotiation or renegotiation around relationships now. And I think like they really can get somewhere through these conversations if everyone is willing to have these conversations, and if everyone is open and willing. But with this energy, you may find there are times that there are openings and there are times that there are not. There are times when you're like, oh, I just sold out. That didn't work for me. So feel into that, but also give yourself permission to fumble a little bit and to do things that make you feel a little bit stupid or a little bit silly, or like you've put yourself out there in some way. It's okay. I think like my point is that really is going to pay off for you if you're willing to do that. And it's going to support us with where we're moving forward. I think there's a lot of breakthroughs that have been happening. I think we're still in that breakthrough energy where it's like pieces are really starting to come together and to connect, and we're starting to understand some things that we didn't understand before. And you might not be there yet, and that's okay, but know that that's coming, and know that everything's working together to get you there. And even these experiences where you feel kind of silly, or you've done something, you're like, oh, I don't really know that I handled that in the way that I feel most comfortable with. There's a learning in that. And I think it's all part of this journey. I think we're all learning a lot of new things right now. I also, with this thinning veil and just the energy that I'm feeling, I also do feel like this is such a powerful time of connecting on a spiritual level. So if you've been feeling that pull to surround yourself with like-minded people, or to go to church more, or to do something that just fosters that spiritual part of you, to meditate more, whatever this looks like for you, let me know in the comments what those things, maybe you've been thinking about some things. Hold yourself accountable and share it, and we will all support you in that. So let me know. Maybe it's conversations that you have with God. Maybe it's just taking that time to thank God every day, to hold gratitude every day, or the universe, whatever that is for you. It doesn't have to be God. That's what it is for me, but it doesn't have to be that for you. So some kind of a spiritual connection that we want to be fostering in some way this week is going to help to support you, and it's going to help to show us the way, and to give us that insight, to give us a sense of, okay, how do I navigate this situation? I think a lot of situations that we're navigating are a little bit new or a little bit different for us. And so we don't know what we're doing. We're kind of going in blind, right? It's like me driving the car. I had never driven a standard car before. It was a totally new experience. And I think we have a lot of that has been happening, that is happening. I also think that we need to recognize that we're not driving the same old car anymore. That's what I'm hearing in my head right now. So like this is a different car, right? It's a different experience that we're having. And so number one, we don't want to make assumptions that it's just going to be a repeat of the experiences that we've had in the past, because it's a different car. It's a totally different vehicle, a totally different experience. But also, we may find that some of the ways, the techniques, the strategies, the approaches that we've used in old things, they don't apply in this situation. You can't drive a regular car, I don't know what they're called if they're not standard, a regular car, a regular transmission, to a standard transmission car. It's a very different thing. If you've ever driven them, you know the difference. You know that they're very different. And so I want you to think about that. This is a new experience for you. These experiences that we're having are new. And so we don't want to bring the disappointment from the past into this. And we also don't want to make assumptions that we know exactly what we're doing here with this. Let yourself fumble your way through it and give yourself grace as you do all of this. I also do feel like there's a lot of positive relationship energy in the mix of all this. So if you're feeling compelled to, as part of this, to have some conversations, or to make yourself vulnerable in some way, or to share some things, or maybe even to put yourself out there to open to some kind of connections or something like that, this is a great time to do it. And I feel like right now is such a powerful time to go deeper in terms of that. So you might find that you're just called to share more, to be more vulnerable, and use this energy for that, because that can be hard for us. And if you can allow yourself to go deeper, to approach relationships in a way that's different from how you've always approached them, for example, and to just let yourself be vulnerable and to go deeper. That is certainly going to pay off here in this energy. So I think there's a lot of good in this. It's just a little fumbly and a little tricky, and there's a learning curve to it, but I think that's exciting at the same time. And we're learning how to do things differently, and we're moving forward in a positive way. So let's pull the cards. I will pull all of them. I've already pre-shuffled. I already have them in order. I'm just going to pull from the top, and I will tell you what they are, and then we'll go back through and I will explain the messages that I'm getting with these cards. So the first card out is the Judgment card. No surprise there. The Five of Pentacles in reverse. The Sun. Again, no surprise there. I feel a lot of good happening right now. The Death card. Okay. Again, no surprise. So we have, out of 4 cards, 3 out of the 4 are major arcana cards. So big life events, bigger stuff, life-changing stuff. The Emperor. Another major arcana card. And the World. So 5 out of 6. Major arcana cards. This is a big week. There are big things happening. I said that last week too. I think there's just a lot that's going on, and it might look very simple. It might look small in your world, but it is big in the grand scheme of things. So let's start with the Judgment card to start. So the Judgment card. I was talking last week about how we're just going to know some things, right? Like things are clicking, and I feel like we're still a bit in that energy where things are clicking. We're having a lot of these breakthrough moments, and we're making important decisions. And I think part of this energy is calling us to the carpet to make some decisions. And we might be with this energy a little bit back and forth, like, should I do this? Should I do this? And I think like this energy says, breathe in, breathe out, and choose and move forward with whatever that is in that moment, right? So breathe in, breathe out, connect with yourself, connect with your intuition, and make a decision, because these decisions that we're making right now are important. But I think if we're sticking with the standard card that we've been talking about, the only way that you're not going to progress at all is if you don't try at all. Right? If you never turn the key, if you never attempt to move forward with things, if you never put the effort in it. So I think a lot of the decision here is to choose to turn the key and to move forward, even if you look silly doing it, even if you stall out, even if you don't get very far, even if it takes a little while for you to get the hang of it, still making a decision and continuing to move forward with it. I think that's going to be putting us in a really powerful position this week. And then we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. To me, this feels like you might feel called to share some way that you felt hurt, or you felt, I was inviting you guys to go deep with your conversations, right? And some of these conversations might be to acknowledge where there's been pain, to acknowledge where you've caused your own pain, like where you've been holding yourself back in connections or from opportunities. Like I just feel like we're having conversations about hard things right now. And having conversations about things, how things have made us feel, or how maybe we understand that we've made other people feel. I think there's a lot of good quality conversations that are happening right now. And I also think like we're, with this Five of Pentacles in reverse, like we're moving out of a lack mentality or seeing ourselves as undeserving. And we're starting to say, okay, I may not know how to do this, but I'm going to progress forward. I'm going to take steps forward. I'm going to turn that key. I'm going to try to learn how to move forward as best I possibly can, because that looks and feels better than just simply staying stagnant. You don't want to be stagnant in this energy. That, yes, take time to go within and to slow down, but also you don't want to be stagnant. You want to be doing things to move forward. Because if you can do that with the Sun card, it's bringing in a lot of happiness. I think the path is being highlighted for us this week in a lot of ways, shining a light, helping us to understand some things that maybe haven't made sense before. So if you haven't had those breakthrough moments, if you haven't had those moments where you're like, oh, I just know, I think you may find that you have that this week. I think there's a lot to look forward to. We also have the Death card. So there's still this process of figuring out, of getting clear on what does need to close out in my life and what doesn't, right? Like, what do I want to allow to develop into something even better? And what needs to just go because it's dragging me down, it's weighing me down, it's making the things that truly matter to me difficult to focus on and to give my energy and my attention to. So we are in this energy of really assessing our values right now and what really matters to us. And you may find that there are things that you've been letting yourself get distracted with, that you've been focusing a lot of time and energy in, and you're like, wait a minute, what am I even doing? Like, how does this serve me? Or do I even like this? Does this even make me happy? Do I even want to be spending my time with these people? Whatever it is, we might be reassessing that. And some things are certainly still going to be clearing out or developing into something better, because I feel like in this energy, there is this energy of metamorphosis where things can develop into something better if we are investing in it, if we are willing to go deep with our conversations, if we are willing to be vulnerable, if we are willing to put ourselves out there, even if it might make us look silly or make us feel silly. Then we have the Emperor card. So stepping into our power, stepping into leadership in some way. This kind of gives me the energy of like volunteering to do things that scare us, but we volunteer to do them anyway because we know that it'll make us better in some way. So that's maybe for some of you. What I'm having a flashback of right now is I always struggled with, it's so funny, I make videos now, right? But I always was very, very afraid of public speaking. And so I remember back in my counseling days when I worked for the counseling agency, when there was an opportunity, I would volunteer before my brain had a chance to hold me back to go out and like teach classes and things like that, like whatever we needed to do when there was an opportunity to do that, not because I wanted to do it, because I hated it, I was terrified of it, but because I wanted to challenge myself in some way. So it's a little bit of that energy of stepping in to do something, or saying that thing that you need to say, or taking that action that you need to take before you know that it's going to be okay, before you have the ability to talk yourself out of it. Are you guys familiar with Mel Robbins, her 5-second rule? So she does it like a rocket launch, and basically anything that you need to do, if you do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just say what you need to say, do what you need to do, use it to get you out of the bed in the morning, whatever it is, like using that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 can be a really effective tool to bypass that part of your brain that's going to talk you out of taking that action. But just following through with that, especially, and if it's an action that you feel like you need to take, is important to take, is going to make you better, is going to make things better for you. So again, don't be afraid to look silly this week, or to feel vulnerable, or to put yourself out in a way that makes you uncomfortable, because it's going to pay off. And then we have the World card, because we are successfully learning lessons this week. We're successfully completing lessons. And I think you might find that there are some things that you're just like, oh, like I got the hang of that really quickly, or, oh, that was what I needed to do that sets me, that sets this situation apart from the same patterns that I've been repeating again and again and again. I did it differently and I got a different, better result. And that is the vibe, right? Is to try something different. Again, you're no longer driving the same old car. You have a different car now, and you have to learn how to drive it. And when you can successfully learn how to drive it, you're going to get to experience different roads. You're going to get to have different kinds of experiences, but you have to be willing to do that. So putting ourselves out there and being willing to take care of the things that we know that we need to be doing to close out chapters as well, to in order to put certain things behind us, to let certain things go. So a lot going on this week. I hope that you guys are rocking it. I hope that you're willing to put yourself out there in some ways that make you uncomfortable, that stretch you a little bit. This is all about making us better and allowing us to have better experiences, new experiences, and sometimes we have to fumble our way through it. So I hope that all of that resonates for you. Let me know what parts resonate. Let me know in the comments. Let me know how you guys are doing, how you're experiencing this energy. And if there is somebody who needs to hear this message, please tag them. Please share this with them. Please share these videos. Please like these videos. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. All of that helps to support all the things that I'm doing. And it helps with the algorithm so these messages get to the people that they need to get to. So thank you so much for being here, especially if you made it all the way to the end. You guys are my ride or dies. I appreciate it so much. And let me know if you made it all the way to the end. I will see you guys soon with another video. Take care.